And I don't know what our homework's going to be yet, so just kind of leave that there because I don't know how far we're going to get. So we were working on these notes, and we had this batch of temperatures in, right?
You dropped a subtle hint.
I dropped a subtle hint on Schoology. So once we plug this all in, make sure that your calculator has it plugged in because it easily could not, since you might not have the same calculators yesterday. So we want to go edit those lists. So go to your list menu by just hitting stat. Go to edit, checklist 1, checklist 2. If they are not in, we want to put those values in.
Wait, the first list will have 663, 970.
We're doing Denver, the last one on the page, where it asks for the high temp. I'm looking for another copy because I don't have mine still and I think I'm out. But that's okay. I threw mine away yesterday because it was all marked up. So make sure your list has that. Do I need to zoom in on my calculator? Are you guys okay? Zoom a bit. No, should I zoom up here? You're okay? Okay, so then what did we do to get it to give us the function? What did we type? Is that a hand or no?
Oh, I know. You hit. I got it.
Yeah, Ethan.
Hit second quit.
Second quit. Go back to your main screen. Sorry, I did not mean to delete. This is throwing me off. There we go. So, second quit out.
Then you go to stat.
Stat.
Calc.
Calc.
5.
5 for quadratic regression.
And then second list.
Oh, there was an easier way to do this
I
too.
know. And then it's second 1.
Your list buttons live down here. So if we just hit second 1, it will actually plug in that list. So second 1 gives me L1. Make sure we separate the commas. Second L2. Now, if you got on Schoology last night and looked at the last step to get that to plug in, I'm actually going to show. So if I just do this, it spits out my ABC values so I know my function. But I could write these all down and then plug them into the y equals, but that's work I don't want to do. So, who checked out Schoology and saw how we need to do this differently in order to actually, hold on, I gotta get back here.
It was a lot of words, so I kind of got lost.
That's fine. That's why, you did not need to. So if I'm at this point, I want that quadratic function that it just gave me to plug itself in as a y function in my y menu. Did anyone figure out how to do this last night? Cool. So the next really important button for us to get used to is vars. Vars stands for variables. So our vars button right here, once you hit L1, L2, make sure you have a second comma after L2. Now hit the vars button. What kind of variable do we want to use? We want to use a y variable, which is essentially like f of x, like the value of your function, the output. So then I'm using functions, so I'm going to click function, and I can choose which y I want to plug it into. I can choose y1, it plugs it into my main menu and takes me back. Once I hit enter, again, it just looks like it gave me the quadratic. But now, hit y equals and go check your y menu. Now your function has plugged itself in. It should be the same basic process, I believe.
No, remember when I do quadratic, it doesn't actually bring it back, it brings it to a full step. You said it clearly.
What do you do after you do function number 1 and y1?
Somebody else might have plugged something else into function 2, so you might want to clear that one. If you have anything aside from this y1, you probably want to clear it. So what point did you get to? Does that have to put in all those lists?
Yes, right here. And I think
Store, probably that, you could store the regression equation. So we're going to want to store it in our y bar function y1. Oh, do that and calculate it. It spits this out, but when I go to my y, it's stored it right there. Is anybody else going to get an 84 CE? Okay, if you get one of the color ones, the only difference that Caleb and I just figured out is when you get to where it is asking like X list is L1, Y list is L2, then it asks you store regression equation, and that's where you plug in the Y1. So now, hit graph.
I got it.
Now, if your graph, hold up, if your calculator was reset, then you will see nothing. So hold on. Whatever you see, I can almost guarantee your window's off. Like, not quite right. So, we want to hit second, or sorry, just win. I gotta figure out which one it is again.
Window.
Yeah, but it's not going for me. Oh, it's still, sorry, my function is still calculating. So if you look up at the top right corner, if you have like little dots moving or little bars moving, your calculator's still working and it won't let you do anything. Yeah, Lynn?
I did something wrong.
I think I did too, so we're in the same boat.
I got
So let's check your lists. So we go edit all your lists are good. So then we come and just hit stat, go to calc, quadratic regression. We plug in L1, L2, Y1. This should
Dude, booyah.
I know, that's what's really weird. Let's just try it again. Second comma, and then bars, Y function Y1. Had you hit enter? This, your 14 is a 50. Because if that's off, it's not actually a parabola. Yeah, so now, if you second put out, try to run this again. Check for 76, 86, 89, 85, 76. Let's just try to put out through all this into calc regression, 1 comma, 3 comma, then yeah, so there we go. So that was the only thing screwing us. So now if I go like this, that's playing. Cool. Any other questions? Because I think I broke my calculator. So, you maybe see this. Sorry, I broke my hey, if you ever get to a point where your calculator won't stop loading, just try to turn it off. If you hold second and hit the power button, it should turn off. When you turn it back on, it should go back to your main screen as opposed to like in the graph screen or wherever. So, you only have this. Think about your data points that we used. We used X values from 9 to 21, but it's a 24-hour day. So if we go to window, I'm going to make my X values. Now guys, even though we're not talking about negative hours, leave a little bit of buffer zone so you have some space on your graph. If you want to leave that at negative 10, that's totally fine, but I would leave it something negative so I have some buffer zone and so I can see the y-axis. If you don't leave your X window going to the negative, you're not going to see your y-axis, and that's kind of frustrating. Your X max has to be able to get all of your X values in there and have a little bit of buffer zone. So I'm just going to make it like 30. Then you can make your X scale what every tick mark will show. My gap's 35. I'll just make my tick marks like, I don't know, 3. And so if I make my gap 36, that actually might make my math work out nicer. So now my gap is 36 and can evenly divide by 3. It doesn't really matter. It'll just fit on your screen a bit nicer. My Y-min, well, my temperature never went negative, but might as well leave it negative to see the X-axis. My Y-max, what should I set that to be? So that's what the max actually goes to. We need some buffer, so we need to go a bit higher.
100.
Yeah, 100. That'll work perfect. Because then I can just set my Y scale to like 10, and that, you know, the gap of 110 evenly divides by 10. We now can hit graph, and we will see our entire function.
Oh, wait, there it is.
Anybody had issues at this point?
Mine?
You probably changed your window differently than mine, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
You still have something else in graph. See how Y2 has a graph in it? You need to clear that graph. Now when you go back to graph, that extra line will be gone. Anybody else have any other weird things happening?
I have a weird question.
Okay.
Like, why does the dog go to
Those are for Math 7 thing. I'm going to have to re-hide these. They had to find them and then solve problems that were on the back of them. And there was a competition. And, yeah.
Is that what
Those aren't hidden. Those were the ones that were solved. And they're not hidden, really. They're just around the room.
No, I can feel like.
Any other questions about how to get this parabola?
Are we allowed to clear all the stuff now?
No. So, the question on our notes actually asks us, at what time
Oh, yeah.
was the maximum temperature of the day? So, calc right here. The second trace function is your best friend. But hold on, just hit trace. If you just hit trace, I can move on my parabola and it will stay on there. If I have multiple graphs, give me your eyes. Do not do what I'm doing. Just give me your eyeballs right now. If I have multiple graphs, say I have another graph of 5x. Actually, that might be too steep. No, it might work. Watch what I can do when I'm tracing. I'm on my parabola. If I decide that I don't want to be on my parabola, hit up or down, and you will jump to the other function. So how you use your trace, so you can find this value of x and that value of y are in the function y equals 5x. This value of x and that value of y are in the function of my parabola. And I can keep moving and finding other values. But that doesn't help me much if what I'm looking for is the specific maximum point of the parabola. So if you hit second trace and go to the calc menu, what do you think we're going to use?
4.
4 for maximum.
Oh, before I.
Now, here's the trick. It asks you at the bottom left bound. So hit second calc, like second trace, takes you to the calc menu, and then you hit the maximum, which is 4. So second, hit to calc, go to maximum. You can just scroll down or go to 4. Notice that it's asking left bound, and sorry, I'm actually going to turn off this other graph. Check this out, guys. If I want to leave the function there but turn the graph off, highlight the equals, turn it off. Like I said, it is a very basic computer program. So I go back to my graph, my parabola is still there. Once I go to maximum, then I want to be to the left of the max and not that far, but far enough that I know that I'm below the max. Then it asks, so then hit enter. Then it asks me right bound, click over to the right of the maximum, somewhere that you know is not the max. Give it a right boundary. And then it says guess. Put your point as close as you think you can get to the max, so try to kind of go in between there. Then it calculates for you between that window. What the calculator literally does is it says, okay, what about this x on the left, this x on the right? Is it the maximum? No. Move in, move in, move in, move in until it finds it. So that's what you're setting. You're setting what is the window to look for the maximum, and what do I think it is? When you hit enter on your guess, it will tell you at the time 1400 hours and 87 hundredths of an hour, the temperature was 88.43 degrees, and that was the max.
For this, if you have to trace things easy because it brings up a little box of the max.
Yeah? Oh, yeah, on the 84C. So if we go second trace to go to maximum, and scoot left to the left side of the mix, right, yeah, so we have to have the arrows pointing into the middle, and then we guess, so that says guess, so I just guess, and then it takes a second to think, and then I get my numbers. Cool? What's up?
How can the maximum be 88.4 if right here it says the temperature was 89?
So there must be something wrong, but in the parabola that we've made, that's our max point. Like that's predicted temp. The parabola follows. All right, well, I don't really even like that problem since it's predicted temp. Well, where's your homework? We got a couple on your homework that still need done, right?
But the points that we inputted were predicted temp, so this parabola is predicted temp.
I know. We're all getting the same thing, so the question is why? think it has to do with fitting to the parabola. So here's, if we really break this down, this function is parabolic because the change in the x values. So
This thing wasn't working because it didn't show the little dot. That's because he brought it all the way down to negative 1,000.
I didn't bring it down. I tried to bring it back up, but they're just like.
oh, when you traced,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's one of the hard things is once you trace all the way over, it comes back up wherever you just were. Yeah, whatever. Actually, sorry. So this is parabolic because of the change in the outputs. Let's look at another so we can discuss why this happened, because we are essentially fitting a parabola to a model of data that we have. So from your homework assignment, 7C. So I'm going to clear my list. Hey guys, I want to show you another way to clear lists. So give me your eyes for a second. When you're in your list menu, say I don't want to go out and clear those lists. I want to be in my menu. I can go up to L1, highlight L1, and hit clear, and then hit enter. That clears out L1. I can bump over to L2, highlight L2, hit clear, hit enter. That clears out your L2. So go clear both your lists. Go to your y equals and clear out your parabola. Go to your main menu and clear out anything that's left there. We want to start completely over, totally clean. Any issues with that? You guys have practice K, correct?
Yeah.
Did you say zippity doo dah? Oh, no. Well, zippity doo dah is a song that we sang in this choir that I was in. So, yeah.
Hey, if you can sing, why did you never sing at 4?
Because I sing in choirs. I don't sing solos.
You should come into 8th grade for the on the last form of the year.
All right.
At the talent show.
7C. So a player hits a tennis ball across the court. Oh, didn't we already, or did we talk about 8? We did talk about 8. So when we're talking about the ball's maximum height, so let's input these values and try to make a parabola with this just to have some different numbers to work with and a different window that we're going to need. So if I scoot this over, we are going to go to our list and edit. See if you can do this process on your own. We're plugging in 0, 1, 2, and 3. Then we bump over, plug in 5.5, 6, 5.5, and 4. Second, quit out to your main menu. Do your quadratic regression. If you get lost, that's good. I'd rather you get lost here than get lost at home. You want to get to this point before I move on. You can move on, but I'm not going to move on until we're all past that point. Yeah. Are you what? If you want. Guys, any of you can use my calculator. That one? Sure, but you would have had to ask, and I just gave it to them. So if you guys want to trade off with that or whatever, I'm fine with that. Are we all good getting to here? Setting up the quadratic regression. Now, hit enter. You get your parabola values, which that's really easy. I could just write that down and plug that in myself, but we already had it plug in. So go check that in y equals it plugged in your parabola. Now, my issue is going to be my window. You will save your time by thinking before you hit the graph button. My window's still set to the old window. That is totally not what I want here. So go to window before you ever go to graph and reset this thing. I'm going to make my window from -5 to +10 just because I don't have a whole lot of x's, but I still want some buffer, some extra range. And I'll make that scale, my distance is 15. I'm going to leave my scale at 3. My y window,
Wait, what do you have as your X and Y?
Yeah, what should be X?
I can't see.
x's should be the times, y should be the heights. Your y is always your outputs. So your outputs are that list too. My y max looks like it's around 6, so I'm actually just going to make it 10. I'm going to make that scale 3 also.
Wait, Mr. Edson, what did you want the y, the x max,
Can we do
x
a grid or something?
Yeah, I'm going to zoom in. So you don't have to match this perfectly, but that's just what I did.
How do you decide what values you
What's the
For like what? What do you mean? So, really the more you do with this, the better you are at predicting what window will be good. All we care about is being able to see, well, so my preference is that when I graph it, I'm going to be able to see my x-axis and my y-axis. So I have to go negative with the x values to see the y-axis. I have to go negative with my y values to see the x, and vice versa, if I said the same thing
Can you go
twice.
back to your scale, please?
So, yeah, give me a second. So this graph only actually makes any sense in the positive, like in quadrant 1, because that's positive time and positive height. So when he hits the ball, it's not on the court. He hits it from a height, it goes up, and then falls down. So it does not go up very much, and immediately starts to get pulled down by gravity. I go back to my window. So with this window, notice I still don't see the whole parabola. You will never see the whole parabola because they go on forever. But I see everything that I care about, which is this quadrant, and I can see a little bit extra and a little bit extra, and I just like that for my view. You don't have to have that. I could make my x min 0. I could make my y min 0, but then my values are like my axes are right at the edges, which if you like that, that's okay. I can still find the maximum. So anybody have issues getting the parabola graph?
I got something wrong, so I'm fixing it. I did it. Got it.
You on this one? 0, 1, 2, 3. Or not 4, 0. So second it out. We're going to do the same thing again. So step out progression. 1, 2, bars. Now we listen. And I plugged it in because I also plugged in y1. So what you did before, you had to plug in the y1. We could write those values down a bit. But now this is where I was. So I think with your window, you actually switched around. So you made your minimum negative 10 and your max 6. So that's why you have more of the negative in your window. But this doesn't matter because you can still see what matters. So guys, when you think about determining your window, all that matters is that you see enough of the graph to get what you want. So if I had made my window, let's say I was having a really weird day, and I decided that my window was going to start at 5, and my graph ends up looking like this, yeah, that won't work, because I can't see anything. So I go back and I think again, what do I need to do to fix this? Well, if I make it negative 5, let's try that now. Oh, look, I see some of my graph. I don't really care that I can't see below the x-axis, because the question's asking me for the max point. So now let's find the maximum. What do I hit first?
Second calc.
Second calc, or second trace to get to calc. We go to max.
Go to the very tippy top.
So guys, give me your eyes for a second. The top of my parabola, the calculator thinks is a straight line. So my trick for this is as I go across the straight line, I look for it to bump down, and that's where I put my left bound. You don't have to be that specific, but that's just the technique I took on. Then I go again, straight, 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 bump down, and that's where I'm going to mark my right. Then I go back up onto that straight line that is actually curved and make some kind of guess and have it calculate it for me. And the maximum point was the maximum point that they gave me in my table.
I based on that. I just had like a 0.1, like
Because
An 8 out here.
This one you have the option to select.
Wait,
You
it
literally-
was 5.9.
So, the slight,
I know, but those are the ones.
hey guys,
Alright.
the slight variance that you're seeing right now comes from your zoom. Literally does, because your calculator has to fit this to a pixel. So it's going to choose the pixel in the middle of my parabola. So if I want to be more specific and have more pixels used for less of the parabola, what could I do? I can zoom in. Do you know what zoom technique? There's a really nice zoom technique. Go back to your zoom menu. See how one is Z-box? Select Z-box. Now, here's what you're doing. You're making a box starting with top left, moving to bottom right. So put a box around the top of your parabola. Now, when I hit enter, the only thing it's going to grab is what's inside that box. So the first point you're going to drop is the top left of the box. So move your point to the top left of what you're looking for, then hit enter, and then move to the bottom right of the box. Anybody having issues, I will help you. So did you do Z-box? Did you hit that? So then plot that point, move to the right and move down, and then you will open the box up. Then you got to drop your right point somewhere, and then you zoom in on the box. Yeah. You probably didn't make a box. Go back to zoom box. Mbop, anyone Hanson? So now if you make a box.
Oh, I thought you had to run all 4
No.
points.
Top left, bottom right, that's it. Any other issues making the box?
Now I got it.
So now, hold up, back up here. Now I've used more pixels for this top of the curve, and what it used to think was like this gap was a flat line. Now that I've zoomed in, it can see that's not a flat line. I can find the maximum more specifically, so do max again. And see if you get any more specific of an answer than you had had before.
0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. How do I get
I know.
You can Z-box more than one time.
Whoa.
Wait,
You can zoom in like.
You can zoom in infinitely, yes. Are you now getting an output value of 6? The closer you zoom, the more precise it will be.
If we did it on the exact pixel that has it, it'll be good.
But you still need to be able to see where does the parabola start to drop down on both sides so that I know that I can actually center in.
Well, for this
You
one,
can now. So your calculator's really, really smart, but you can sometimes screw it up if you've like completely plotted things in the wrong place. So if I put like my left bound way over here, and then I put my right bound like before the top of the parabola, it's not going to be able to find the max if my max is not in that little window that I gave it. So you still do have to do some thinking to set these things up correctly. Any questions? Let's do another problem from the homework. Have we done this question? So when does the lowest tide occur?
Olivia Berry to the office, please. Olivia.
So we're going to reset our lists. So reset your lists. You can clear them out if you want. Now notice that our list we're about to use only has 3 values, as my list before had 4. So I would suggest that you clear the list before you start so you don't accidentally leave that 4th value. And if you do, you'll figure it out. You'll get an error because then it won't actually be a quadratic model of data. So we have 0.33, 3.3, and 11.11. We then have 3.9, not 30, 2.7, hello, Could you work for me? That would be great. No, I don't have money to pay people or inanimate objects especially. So we know that our max or our lowest point is going to be somewhere between these two values, but I really doubt that it's actually the 2.7 because that would just be too easy. We need to get our quadratic regression plugged into y1, but I'm also going to need to clear you don't actually need to clear the y1 first. It will default to clear over it. I just like to because I'm kind of OCD like that. So, again, set up your quadratic regression. Go to calc, quad reg, L1, so second one plugs in your L1. Make sure you get those commas. And this is where it gets weird. You're going to hit your vars button, go to yvars, go to function, hit y1, and that drops in. Yes, and hit enter. Yeah. Second click, yep. Is this getting easier? The process of doing like the button punching and all that. The more repetition you do, the easier it will be. Now when I go to graph this, my window's all screwed up from last time because we did a Z-box. So sometimes it's helpful to default back to Zoom standard to just get a start and then go from there. So hit zoom and look at Z6, option 6 is Z standard. Your Z standard is 20 by 20, so it's negative 10 to 10, negative 10 to 10. So if I Z standard, this is the parabola that I end up getting. Now, do I see a lot of the parabola?
Not really.
Do I see the part that I need?
Yes.
Yeah. So we don't really care. We could care. We could Z-box on there if we want. So if you want to zoom in closer on the bottom of the parabola, you could Z-box. Again, you're only plotting top left and bottom right. So if I do this, I'm going to plot top left and go right. You can hold the arrows, by the way. It does make your life a little easier.
What did you make your window?
Standard, just to start. So Z6, like zoom option 6. But then if I Z-box on this, and it defaults to make your screen like, actually it might just extend it to match the screen. It probably just extends it. But now I see more of that curve and a pretty specific minimum point. So now I'm going to go ahead and try to trace that minimum.
How do you zoom out again? I was getting stuck.
We don't, so what we did first was Z standard, which so hit the zoom option and then go to 6. So you can't just hit 6, you can go down to it. That will take me back to the normal negative 10 by negative 10 sort of thing. So then I did a box around the bottom part to help me get closer in on it. So now set your left bound, set your right bound, and give it a guess. And guys, you don't have to go all the way over until it bumps up. You could just stay on that quote-unquote straight part of the line. I just kind of a process that I got used to in high school, and I just stuck with it. So our minimum tide happens at whatever time 5.17 would be, but the height of it is about 2.5 feet.
2.7 in fact.
No, like when you do the minimum, we get 2.487.
I got 2.7.
Zoom in.
Zoom in?
Zoom in.
Yes, sir. Z-box.
I wish
You will need to use Z-box. Yes. You're close enough. You are within the negligible error. Because I think what this actually is supposed to be 2.5. So, I think this is supposed to be 2.5. So if I zoom in again, even though I already zoomed in, if I zoom in again on Z-box, and it's also just fun to say. So I'm going to go like 2 stair steps, or really 1 stair step up on each side to try to get more specific.
Is your X 8.3?
You mean just use zoom in?
No,
Yeah.
like, why go out that far?
I mean, you don't have to. I'm just so that I can show how much different the curve ends up looking.
Hey, no, not
Like my curve looks actually like a flat line.
Yeah, he's gotten all the way. See, but that gets a little dangerous if all you see is a flat line because you don't know exactly where in the curve you are.
Mr.
Okay.
Hudson, my X value is 3.3.
It should not be. Calvin, what are you getting if you were like super darn specific?
For X,
Yeah.
5.179.
What'd you get for your Y?
2.487.
So maybe it is actually 2.48. I don't think it's 2.5. I think it's actually 2.48. Why do you have other lines
Oh,
drawn
that's
in
the
that?
trace.
No, it's not.
That's what I said.
You're plotting still. So if you go to second stat plot, your plot is still turned on. You're still plotting this thing you did yesterday. Yo! Really interesting problem that we just encountered. Caleb was like, hey, I can't get this right value. Like, what am I doing wrong? We haven't done much of this yet, so I forgot to cover it. Give me your eyes for a second, please. Right on the y equals, above it says stat plot. Hit second and the y equals button to go to stat plot. Unless you're using a scatter plot to plot the points and then try to connect them or whatever, you want your plot to be turned off. So if I go into plot 1, it's got the options of on or off. If it's on, move over to off and select off. If you don't, it is plotting lists L1 and L2, and that may not actually perfectly line up with the quadratic regression that our operation matched to our data. So even though it would be plotting the same points, it wouldn't necessarily match the actual quadratic regression. So you want these plots to be off unless you're specifically using them. So that was the issue that Caleb hit. Did you get the right minimum now?
I have to mess with them a little. So how did you get that?
So hit second Y to go to stat plot, and then you can enter into any of the plots and tell it what it's plotting. So this is on or off. How is it going to look? Is it going to be scattered or connected or histogram or box and whisker? What is it using for the X and Y values? And then what is it going to mark the points to look like? And we'll do more scatter plots here like next week and everything. But I just wanted to cover, right now we're only working with the Y equals. We're not using the scatter plot. You want that to be turned off so that it doesn't screw anything up. Other questions before we like head out to the weekend? Do you want to do whatever, 10 real quick? So this is definitely worth looking at because this asks the question differently, and this is going to use a different function. Please do this with me. Otherwise, you're going to struggle on the homework because this is going to use something you haven't used yet. We need to estimate the price in 2000. So I got 3 minutes left. Please stick with me. So on my calculator, I'm going to reset my lists. So go to edit. I don't need to clear these out because my new lists have 4 data points. I can just save right over top of these. The first one on the back. Well, so you could, they say find a quadratic, use 86 as year 0. So if you want to use year 0, we'd be 0, 10, 20, 29.
Yes.
So if we do, I was going to show you guys how to just change your window, but if we do it that way, then my lists should be 0, 10, 20, and 29 for amount of years. And then the 61.4, 92.7, 141.3, and 208. Now I'm going to move real fast, so if you guys just want to give me your eyes, I'm going to do our quadratic regression. Get the L1, not sign. L2, my Y variable, and that plugs it in. Please watch what I'm doing. So I'm now going to change my window to be like -5, positive 35 just to have a buffer. I'll make that 5. My Y values need to go. I'm going to see the whole parabola actually, so I'm going to make that 0 so that I can see the axis. I'll make my max like 250 just to be a good buffer zone. And I'm actually going to make that change by, let's just do 10. So now when I graph it, I get this. But what would year 2000 be if year 2005 was 29? Calvin?
2024.
24, right? Here's where we go. Second trace, again, to calc. If you hit value, it asks you, what is x? So if I tell it, okay, my x is year 24, the average price of gas is 169.32 if I round to financial value. So that is when given an input value, you can find the corresponding output value by using second calc, or second trace to get to calc, and using the value. If you want to find a value at a point, use value. Option 2 there is how we're going to find the zeros when it crosses the x-axis. We did minimum, we did maximum. We'll start to get to the intersect, and you get into differentiation when you get into calculus. Any last questions?
Wow.
Sweet. Have a great weekend, Carmen. Hopefully this video was good for you. Thank you, guys. Let me know if you struggle with the homework. We will finally move on to 12.4 on Monday.
Okay.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Bye.
Hasta luego. Yeah, totally fine. If you're going to take a calculator over the weekend, I gotta make a note of it. So please see me before the end of the day.